Hello! Stay a while and listen. No? Nothing? I got nothing. Today's going to be a relatively short episode because I got to be up relatively early for me anyway, so that I can be at work to work a relatively early shift for me. Yay, early shifts. So, a couple of things. I am going to comment on wrestling. What? You didn't expect that? Me? I don't know why I talk about wrestling so much. No, I don't. My father used to refer to wrestling as soap operas for men. In a tongue-in-cheek sort of joking manner, of course. But he was a fan. He was a fan of wrestling. And I work with a girl who, on her off time, does the professional wrestling thing. She's not on the pro circuit, the top tier or anything. She's not going to make a lot of money, but she does it. She and her husband. And this started making me think about the similarities between wrestling and LARPing. And the similarities are actually pretty high there. First, both groups dress up in costumes. Both groups take on persona that they wear when they're doing the activity. There are storylines to both activities. They're often sort of derided by people who are not involved in either one. They are often perceived as being silly on either end. And there are villains that people play. There are heroes that people play. What else? There's a physical aspect to what they're doing. And while both are fake, that does not detract from the difficulties involved in doing it well. Nor does it detract from the amount of skill involved to do it right. While any idiot can pick up a boffer weapon and go out and fight, he's going to get his butt handed to him every time, and he might end up hurting himself if he doesn't know what he's doing. Wrestling has a much steeper curve in that regard. They are flinging their bodies about, and if you do not know what you're doing, you will easily hurt yourself badly. While there is a certain amount of choreography and storyline involved, no one should ever dispute the fact that the people who do wrestling are athletes and are very skilled at what they do. And what they do takes practice. It takes something that you have to learn. You can't just walk in and, I can do this. You really do need to know. LARPing takes practice. It is not as physically involved as wrestling. There are certainly people who are not going to be comfortable with the LARP combat who still have stuff to do at LARPing. In wrestling, I suppose you could be a hanger-on, maybe a manager or something, I don't know, in a storyline. But for the most part, if you're not into the combat, you're probably not into the wrestling. So there are obviously some differences. And, of course, wrestling has a much larger social acceptance than LARPing does. But there are enough similarities that it struck me, and I thought I would mention it. I have friends who are fans of wrestling. I have sort of come and gone on wrestling. I did a little bit of Greco-Roman in high school, and I did, enjoy watching the shows when I was younger, and I just never kept up with it. I have, no problem with the shows existing. I just haven't kept up with them. And I still feel a certain amount of nostalgia when I see Hulk Hogan come out or somebody like that. Because I remember, being into the wrestling and watching that. And I have absolutely nothing but respect for people who actually do wrestling, because it's really physically demanding, and I don't know that I could do it, honestly. Anyways, I thought I would share my thoughts on this point. Like I said, this is going to be a short episode, but if you have any thoughts on the similarities between one geeky thing and another geeky thing, let me know. I compared LARPing and wrestling here, but, there are other geeky things that you can compare if you want to. Another thing that's similar. Very excited fan bases. People who get really involved. Deeply involved. People who LARP become deeply involved in LARPing. People who wrestle and are fans of wrestling become deeply involved. So, gotta admire passion, in whatever you're pursuing. Anyway, subscribe, like, share with all the friends, and I guess I will talk to the rest of you tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be the episode where I talk about opals. I'm going to be, visual aids, and there will be, things hovering off to the side, and, here's what this looks like. And I'll, talk about... Yeah, never mind. You know what I'm going to do. But I'll talk to you guys later, and try and stay out of trouble. Good night.